Just my glowing personality, no beard anymore.
We revised it. Have you been in the sun someplace?
Okay, we'll get started. Good morning, everyone. It's Monday, March 24th, 2014. And I'd like to call the Clark County Commissioners Court to order. We'll start off this morning with our usual prayer, and then we'll have a pledge to both flags this morning.
Heavenly Father, we thank you and we give thanks, O Lord, for this beautiful day and this advent of spring and the opportunity, O Lord, to be here and to serve you and to serve all the citizens of Potter County. Thank you for this court and all that are attendees, all the elected officials, O God, and those who are serving in leadership positions and those who are serving for the good of all the citizens of Potter County. And, O Lord, our minds be discerning as we deliberate the issues, always for the good of the citizens. We thank you, Father, for those who are first responders and all of our military personnel that continue to stand in the gap, O Lord, now here in the stateside and in foreign fields for the protection of the citizens of this country. And for all those, Father, for those support systems, for their families, continue to bless and keep them, O Lord, and keep them from harm's way. We ask for your blessings this day, Lord. Guide us and keep us in your name, we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll pledge to the Texas flag. Some help if anybody needs it. To honor the Texas flag,
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
All right, our first item of business this morning is approval of the minutes from the March 10th, 2014 Commissioners Court meeting.
Second.
Then a motion to approve the minutes for the March 10th meeting and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Those opposed, same sign.
I'll abstain for the motion.
Okay, passes 4-0-1. Next item of business is vouchers. To consider and act upon the approval of the payment of vouchers processed by the County Auditor's Office for the period of March 5th, 2014 through March 18, 2014. These are for checks numbers 154402 through 154636 and wire numbers 348 through 357. The total amount of $4,196,237.50. I move we approve the vouchers presented.
Second for discussion. I have a question, if I may. Page 3 of 28, check number 154417 in the amount of $75 service fee, Executive Protection Specialist Inc. I just want to make sure I understand what that third party is under tax assessor and what.
Usually what these are service fees when they file on delinquent tax cases, and they could be the service provider performing that action for them.
Another question, page 9 of 28, check number 154495 in the amount of $5,841.57. It's noted as payroll and GWN Marketing. Can you help me understand that?
They are part of our deferred comp services, so the employees that donate to those deferred comp accounts, that's who we pay.
Page 11 of 28, check number 154517, the amount of $36,446. 2014 Chevy Tahoe. Is this, I have jotted myself a question, I'm sorry, whether this was forfeiture funds or this was part of the budget
It
process?
was part of the
This is final?
budget, yeah, it was the formal bid we did back in October, we're finally getting those vehicles in.
And that may be a similar question I have on another vehicle. I just want to make sure. The next page, 13 of 28, check number 154551, in the amount of $28,676, a 2014 Dodge Ram.
It's the same thing, it's a formal bid you approved before back in October.
And I have just one final question, page 19 of 28, and it carries over 19 and 20. It is a wire transfer, 351, the Bank of New York, which roughly accumulates to about $2 million. It's documented as INS interest and some principal. Can you help me understand that, Marla?
Those are our two debt services payments that we make twice a year. This is the first one.
And when is that second payment made? Is it?
I believe September 1st.
Thank you. That's all the questions I have for the board.
Commissioner Kelly, you have any questions? Any further discussion on the vouchers? We have a motion and a second to approve the vouchers as presented. Those in favor, signify by raising your hand. Those opposed, same sign. Passes 5-0. Insurance report. Ms. Holland, do you have anything special you want?
Not anything specific on the insurance report itself, but I did want to make you aware that over the next week or 2 weeks, I'll begin discussions with the insurance committee to discuss renewal options for this upcoming plan year.
Okay, is this the year, just to make sure that I'm remembering the contract, that we are guaranteed to not have increases, or has that already expired?
There are no rate guarantees on the health insurance, ever. I mean, we've not had any rate guarantees. I've not, typically you will not get a rate guarantee on any of the three insurance rates at all. We do have rate guarantees that are still in place, I believe, on the life insurance. And if memory serves me correct, this year that we're currently in is the last year of a rate guarantee on the dental insurance. And so we'll be going back, having to make some decisions on the dental insurance as well. But health insurance.
I'm reflecting something from the Texas Association of Counties when we entered into that agreement, but I'll certainly research that and
Okay.
come back with the appropriate question for that. So thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, the insurance report is so recognized. Next item of business is our treasurer's report, to recognize the treasurer's report. Ms. Jennings. Good morning.
I think in just a few minutes of your time, I want to bring you up to speed on what we have going on. We've been very busy. This morning, our cash that we have available in the general account is $35,686,783.14. We have a little over $13 million in our A&B checking account, which is earning us 25 basis points. Tax pool, we have 12.3. In just the tax pool account, and that's earning us 3 basis points. Prime is 26,000. And last week, this is what I want to talk to you guys about. I purchased Cedars with Amarillo National Bank, a $10 million Cedars. that will earn us 35 basis points for 3 months. And looking over our contract, they didn't differentiate between a 3-month or a 6-month CEDARS. So our strategy will be that we will just ladder with the 3 months through this year. And especially that 17 million we have in surplus, I will invest that amount in CEDARS, and we'll be earning the 35 basis points throughout the year. So, wanted to bring you up to speed on that. The other thing that we have changed, and this all had to do with our budget process, is we closed the courthouse preservation account. And so from Tex Pool, I closed the Tex Pool account on Thursday, March the 20th, last Thursday. And on Friday, we closed capital projects that we had in Prime as well, and moved all of that to the capital projects at Emerald National Bank. On Friday, we closed the courthouse preservation at Emerald National Bank and moved it all into capital projects. So, and also you had budgeted 2.7 million. So the 2.7 that had been budgeted was moved from general to capital projects on Friday. So all of that has been completed and is now a done project.
And just a follow-up question to that, in terms of your cash report, the line item that speaks to each one of the accounts or the funds, will you tell me which line item they all got moved to? You mentioned courthouse preservation, which I think is listed as 2 under the general operating account, and then capital projects, which is listed as 23. I just want to make sure I'm following you.
Let me pull it up just 1 second. Yes, courthouse preservation is now closed, and all of that was moved to capital projects, which is line item 23.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Leanne, I have a question regarding that on the courthouse. Does that include those special CH accounts that we have out there that we're still utilizing money out of?
Now, we didn't move the budget or anything. So when you say it was moved into line, was that just the invested amount or the full cash
Anything
amount?
that was courthouse preservation, whether it was Tex Pool or Emerald National Bank, was moved to capital projects. And that was, you might get with Carrie and Ginger, because that's per their instruction. Thank you. Welcome back. Thank you.
Any other discussion or questions on the treasurer's report? This really doesn't have anything to do with the treasurer's report, but will there be an audit report from the auditor's office, a full audit report sometime soon?
As far as our comprehensive, yes. It'll be ready by the end of this month, and we'll have one of those available too.
Great. The treasurer's report is so recommended. Item number 5 is budget amendments. To consider and act upon the approval of budget amendments from the current fiscal year. And we all ought to have those amendments in front of us.
There is quite a few ahead of you. Carrie does a good job by putting an explanation. If you'll look through those, I'll be happy to answer any of your questions.
Well, I have a couple of questions on number 1 that's noted here for the capital transfer for end of life for the XP project on information technology. And it may certainly be referenced with this capital line item. We also talked about the funds balance and the emergency account, and that may be this account. I just want to make sure that I'm following it correctly. When that XP end of life was presented to the court, Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, you and Carrie had indicated that would qualify in kind of a emergent category and unexpected. I'm not sure if this is the line item.
No, these are all line items within Jason's budget, right?
Okay, I don't have the budget in it.
Okay. Yeah, all we're doing to accommodate the changes and the cost of this end of life is right now we're moving funds around within his budget.
Was that your perception of what should happen, Jason, within your budget?
Yeah, well, I know what I presented to Carrie was that, out of the amount that we asked for, that amount be dispersed between the different categories, because some of this could be hardware that's purchased, some software, that sort of thing. And so, once we got into it, we had to shuffle things around so that when we had an expense, it came out of the appropriate account.
And this is specifically for the XP end of life.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's it.
Dave, do you have any recollection of when we talked about whether this would qualify under a funds balance account, the emergent kind of nature of that? We discussed that at court, so I'm surprised to see it coming out of your existing budget, and that may be fine, and you can certainly speak to your budget more appropriate. I just want to make sure that we're certainly being diligent about where that money should come from.
Well, I know Carrie usually uses fund balance as the last resort.
Right.
So it may be she's trying to move money around within his departmental budget at this point in time to see what more expenses they might be. But from this budget adjustment, she is moving within his departmental budget.
Are you comfortable with that, Jason? Do you have any concerns?
I don't know the budget amendment. I don't have the figure in front of me that you got to talk about.
But here's what we're talking about.
You're welcome to help.
Yeah, 33, yeah, 33,000 roughly.
33,000 from your capital budget. It's got 3,000 moved to contract services and 30,000 moved to general operating for software purchase.
And what happened at the beginning of this is that the 143 was dispersed into these different accounts in my budget, right? Is that right? That's what happened initially? Because I gave Carrie a list of how to allocate that 143.
It was a lot more than this 33 that was going to cost.
Okay.
Okay, I can tell you what this is. This is after the emergency funds were allocated.
Okay.
Okay, and we came back and said, okay, we can actually save the county some money by buying some software items instead of hardware.
Okay.
Okay, and so what we had to do was move the funds to purchase that out of the hardware account into software.
Okay.
Okay, and that's what this is.
Okay.
So, yeah. There's anything else out here?
I know, well, I had other questions on other items, but I certainly wanted to make sure you were comfortable with that.
Yes.
I had questions as well. Item number 2, requested by Constable 3. I'm not sure I see him in the audience today. The vest that he's requesting, I'm wondering why that was not originally in the budget cycle.
It actually was in the budget cycle. It was just budgeted in the wrong line item, so we're moving it to be classified appropriately. But it was budgeted.
Okay. Item number 4, on the second page, you'll notice, and certainly the sheriff could speak to this more appropriately, the requested change to cover some of the inmate medical expenditures. I've requested some time with the sheriff and Dave and Carrie just to make the court aware we're starting to look at that contract with Northwest and really starting to dive into that. I think there's a couple of outstanding questions, but I've asked for some time with the sheriff to dive into some of those expenditures and certainly make everyone aware. The last question I have is on item 9, which is the last page of the document, $500,000 to cover third-party admin fees. Can you help me understand those third-party admin fees?
What our outside auditors have requested is currently our budget on our premiums as far as insurance is concerned. We have that lumped into one line item. As far as the premiums, we pay to TAC for our county portion, but also the premiums that we pay to all of our employee elected insurance that they pay for. So what they've asked us to do is separate those out into two different line items to account for them separately. The reason Carrie said that we are having to move some money out of our fund balance for the TAC premiums on our county insurance is we do pay more premiums that we have in the past and we need funds to cover those.
Can you say that last part again? We are paying more premiums today than we have in the past?
Yes.
Okay.
In the past, we've always had enough balance in that account to cover it, but separating them, we're gonna need extra funds in that particular line item.
More for the elected officials, the rest everyone else. I'm a risk.
Thank you for that. You're welcome. Other questions I have for the court?
We have a motion to approve the budget amendments. Okay, have a
Second.
We'll move to seconded that we approve the budget amendments as presented, 1 through 9. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, signify by raising your hand. Those opposed, same sign. Pass 5-0. All right, our next item on the agenda is Potter County Extension Office to hear an agent update regarding activity hosted by the Potter County Extension Office. Commissioner Murguia and Ms. Schleicher.
And as Amy's handing these out, just to inform the court, what we thought of the extension office is that every quarter we would have a different agent to really just present to the court, give us some highlights of what's happening there. So you should see a different agent every quarter throughout the year this year.
And I have extra copies if anyone wants any good reading material. But thank you, Commissioner Murguia, for having us come forward, and we appreciate the opportunity to share with y'all what we've been doing in our office. We were talking earlier, we're not a long ways away, but it feels like, you know, we're still kind of a ways away from everyone else in the county to get to share what we do. But the first thing I started with, I want to share with you is our 4-H youth development updates. Kyle has started his Egg to Chick program in the schools and has his hatching in the classrooms. He's pretty much booked from now until the end of May, so the kids get to see the whole process of a chicken hatching from the egg. They're in the incubators. Kids really love that, seeing that. We also have I started this program in September, and it's my clothing and textiles project. That project is slipping very badly across the state of Texas, and we're finally doing some changes about it. But I started a project in September with their new trash and show. It's a new contest at the state level. It's an invitational contest to State 4-H Roundup, where they work as a team, create something out of trash, like newspapers, things that you would throw away or recycle. 80% of the garment has to be the trash, and then the underneath part can be the base, like if they're making a dress or pants or something, can be the base. But 80% has to be made from trash. So it's a neat project to get the kids to work as a team. I also took them out to a cotton field west of Amarillo, and they were able to ride on a cotton stripper. They were able to see the cotton module truck come and pick the modules up from the field, and then we followed him into the gin, and the kids got to see the process of them ginning the cotton from there. So it was a real good trip. We've continued that one on. We started what we called Fashion Runway. In 4-H, we have a new contest called Food Challenge. The kids work as teams. They have 40 minutes to prepare something and display a dish in front of a panel of judges. We have over 250 kids compete at the district level for that contest and fashion show is like going down to 60 kids from it used to be 200. So I thought, let's do something similar. And so we created Fashion Runway. And we did this one a couple weeks ago, Saturday, beginning of March. And the kids had $10 as a team. They went to a thrift store, bought whatever they liked. They bought tablecloths, fabric, garments already constructed, all under, none of them spent fully $10. They came back as a team, and that picture doesn't do it justice, but if y'all want to come by, I'll show you some of the stuff they made. But some of them took dresses, cut them up, made them into skirts and a jacket with the top of the dress. Some of them took a tablecloth, 2 former dresses, and made it into a prom dress. And some of the kids ranged from age 8 to 16. And so we actually had a former design student from Texas Tech University, and I bet she slept really good the next 2 days after that, but she went from group to group. We had 5 groups, and she helped them to understand the design process, how it works, what the buyers are gonna wanna see if they choose the design field, what the buyers are gonna wanna see when they present their storyboards to them, and then how to construct their garment. And they did this in 2 hours. It was really amazing, very proud of those kids. What's really funny about that contest is now there is a new 4-H contest coming out, and I get to help pilot that contest. It will be piloted here in District 1, Potter County, as well as surrounding counties. And the kids will do very similar, just different categories. So that's exciting. The youth also have been busy going to major stock shows. Houston is wrapping up this week, and so they're all heading home, and we had a great turnout from all the major stock shows, and our county stock show was a huge success as well. So we've been busy with all of that, and then we've also kicked off our other clothing and textiles contest as well as livestock judging. We have a huge livestock judging group. Nathan has kind of taken over that, and it is massive. They practice every Saturday. You can find the pictures on our Facebook page. The kids are doing a really good job. With the Family Consumer Sciences side, Elizabeth and I didn't put this on here, I forgot to. Elizabeth and I went to College Station beginning of January. We had our Centennial Conference extension that's been around for 100 years now. And so we celebrated the past 100 years, but how can we continue with the next? We had some great speakers. One was from Chicago, and then, I forget where he's from. Sorry, a strong Yankee accent. It was neat to hear him speak. I can't think where he's from. But anyways, they were great. And one of the guys who came out, I have to share this with y'all because it cracks me up. He walked out and he said, "It's the end of the world as we know it." He's holding up a pair of flip-flops. Okay, I don't know if y'all are, I love flip-flops. My dad absolutely hates flip-flops. He agrees it's the end of the world as we know it. Because back in the day, they were called thongs. And so you bring that up in a generational house now, discussion goes crazy. And so he started off with that, but then he went into how Extension has done so much over the past 100 years. He said, people are living longer because of you. He said, we didn't have a problem with so many people in the world back then because we teach them how to can properly now, how to prevent botulism from when you're canning. And he's like, in the winters back then, they'd open up some cans and we'd lose a couple of them. So, but because of all of you, they're hanging around. And the same with prevention of diabetes and health. It was great. He was a great speaker.
Did that Yankee say, like, park your car? He would be from Boston.
Boston, probably. Yeah, it was somewhere. It was
Boston.
Yeah. They were hilarious. And I'm glad we went because I was thinking, sorry, this sounds bad. I was like, another extension conference, but they really went out on their speakers. And what we were lucky is that was the time of all the blizzards up there. I don't know how they made their plane flights down to A&M, but they did. And so great conference. It was all paid for by the state, which was really nice. But Elizabeth and I received a Vice Chancellor's Award in Excellence in Diversity. And so that was really exciting for us. We got to meet the Vice Chancellor. And of course, we got to visit with the Director of Extension, real good guy. So that was good. Elizabeth and I have been busy. She's been doing Step Up, Scale Down. I've been doing Cooking with Friends. I started up a low impact exercise class. We work on balance, strength, flexibility, endurance, helping prevent falls in the senior citizens. And so we exercise about 45 minutes, 2 days a week. It's a lot of fun. We've also been busy doing a lot of lower income nutrition education, stretching your food dollar. I was able to go over to Caprock High School, do some cooking demos for the high school seniors. And then we've been over at Amarillo College, the Guy Saunders Resource Center. We did a program for youth graduating, seniors graduating from out of CPS. And so, in the Wesley Community Center. So we've been real busy this quarter, but it's been a lot of fun, reaching new audiences that I personally have never reached. I know Sue was always out there reaching a lot of people. And so, staying busy with our extension education ladies. They're getting ready to host the spring conference here. It's going to be here in Amarillo. And then last week we did a kind of an issues identification forum with just our family and consumer sciences audience. We asked our committee to bring in key leaders, but also citizens from around Amarillo, from around different parts of the county, and say what are the key issues that we really need to be addressing. Because me being newer here, I don't feel like I'm addressing the needs the things that I hear on the news, or the things that come out of people's mouths. I don't feel like my programs are addressing those. So we've had some interesting, very interesting new issues that we will be approaching. They're going to take a lot of new ways to address these issues. Some of them we might not be able to fully address, but like cultural awareness is one. One that a lot of people talked about was senior medication and how do they manage their medication. I don't think that's just seniors. I think that's everyone understanding what medication means when they say take it 3 times a day. Some people might not understand what that means. But also translation services. We need help with translation. Because like at Eastridge, 27 different languages are spoken just in one school. And so how can we work with volunteers and help these teachers with the translation services, as well as our programs, to reach out to those who have moved here from another country that we need to relate to, for them to understand how it is that we live around here and the foods that they will be utilizing here in America. So it was a good luncheon. Nathan is doing a great job, our new ag agent. If you ever got to meet him, he's a really good guy. He has done, I tell you what, he came in and January and February did more programming, I think, than our office had done in 2 years, or had a good audience, because now we have to do partial cost recovery. We've kind of made it a competition within our office. Well, he raised my goal in 2 months, and I'm sitting here like, okay, I'm not even a quarter of the way there. But he's doing a real good job. If you get a chance to visit with Nathan, please do. The office is really good. So.
And Amy, your Cooking with Friends, isn't that now a potential statewide initiative that was started here in Potter County? Am I saying that correctly?
And Commissioner Mordia attended our first session, the second year of it, but it did start here in Potter County. It did start here in Potter County. It's now a statewide program. We have the educational lessons, the evaluations, the recipes, all that online. I've provided trainings for the East Region agents. They wanted me to come to Nacogdoches for an hour at 4 o'clock on a Wednesday. I said, no, thank you, but I'll do it via link. And so we provided a training for over 60 agents on the Cooking with Friends program and how to utilize it with the different audiences, with the different incomes as well. So it's a great program. We make 7 meals, and we did it in an hour and a half, I think. So real good program. So
See where Nathan started a rainwatering water harvesting class?
He did a class. Yeah, he did a class, in all 3 news stations.
Yes.
Yeah, I know, that's the thing. If we did have rain, that would be great. But we had Billy Niffen from, where was Mason Menard area. Yeah, he used to be a specialist for the extension, and he came up, he's retired, and he was heading to New Mexico, and he said, we really could use a program. So he just stopped, and I thought that was real nice of him, stopped and did the program. We had about 30, 40 people there. So.
Yeah, youth for this organization locally.
How many youth? In our 4-H right now this year, I think we're at about 160. Last year we were over 200.
What happened with the decrease? Is
Um,
funding a problem?
No, because y'all provided us the scholarship money. I think 4-H goes through ups and downs. Sometimes, the kids, they'll be real interested for about 10 years, kind of what I've been in 8, but to me, seeing it, pictures about 10 years would be a huge group, and then it kind of falls down, and about another 10 years you get another big group that's interested. So it kind of goes through a phase. I think, like I said, on the clothing and textiles project, there's a lot of stuff. We're creating all these new contests and keeping the old ones. There's over 200 activities a kid can do in 4-H. Some of that needs to go. And so I think some of it is we need to change with the time and create new contests and get the kids' interest back into it. But I wish that it wouldn't die down. We gave over $2.5 million in 4-H scholarships last year. We're getting ready to kick off scholarship applications this year. So I wish that kids would see the good in the 4-H program.
So, thank you so much for presenting and your enthusiasm and energy for what you do.
Thank you all very much for having me here today.
Thank you, Amy. Appreciate it. Appreciate what you folks are doing.
Thank you.
I was gonna say something.
Say, Commissioner, come on.
No, it's just, this is serious, isn't it?
Okay.
If you were looking for something good coming out of extension and 4-H,
You are referring to Sue, aren't you?
yeah, my wife.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Okay, let's move on to item number 7, agenda item. Long Range Facilities Planning Committee to hear a report from the Long Range Planning Committee and to take any action necessary. Commissioner McGee.
Sure, and Commissioner Kelly and I both sit on this committee, and I'm assuming it's just my name on here since I requested the agenda item to just bring the court up to speed. The committee has met this past Friday, and what we are looking at is a direction to possibly take some tours throughout different levels of the state. We are taking different recommendations of the counties in terms of what we will go tour. Some of that is coming from the Texas Association of Counties and light issues with what we're seeing. So we have several counties that were provided. Some of the recommendations are being provided by Texas Health Institute, which was Camille Miller who presented before the court. She mentioned a couple counties that even if we had never heard from that organization again, knowing what she knows about Potter County, she recommended a couple counties. We also have recommendations from Architectus, kind of our partner in the original fact-finding. So that will be presented to the committee to divvy out which tours will actually take place. The concept is to have 2 groups that are traveling, and certainly, the commissioners, as we had discussed, are privy and will be joining those tours. In terms of a timeline, we are looking at potentially May or June for some tours. So our next meeting will include vetting out the participants of who will join. We've extended the invitation to, I know I'm gonna forget someone, but the district court judges, sheriff, purchasing, auditor, facilities, 2 commissioners, I think I'm missing someone, but the invitation has been extended throughout the county, and I'm seeing Randall presented too because he's on my follow-up items to call him and certainly welcome participation on that. Definitely, I think just collaboration of whether you would want to participate or not. But you're on my list to talk to today, so good morning.
The answer is yes.
The answer is yes, okay, good.
I did confer with the 2 judges we spoke about, and they were confused as to how this was going to work, but they're on board.
Yeah. So our next meeting will be actually vetting through the counties. We'll be looking at them online in our meeting and doing our very best to try to identify which counties, and then looking at the participants of this group. There will be no magic or rhyme or rhythm to this. We will actually be pulling from a hat of who's in group 1 and who's in group 2, and we'll present that back to the court with timeline and certainly be very mindful of everybody's schedule. So that's our plan as we know it today, but we wanted to bring everybody up to speed with where we are. Did I miss anything, Commissioner?
You did quite well.
Any questions from the board? And Randall's answer is yes, so that worked out. Thanks, Victor.
Any other input that anyone would like to make? Serve on this committee? Seeing none?
No.
Yes.
Probably gonna have the IT seal. This is for the long range facilities.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, thank you, Jason.
Anything else? All right, I don't think there's any action that we need to take on that.
No, Commissioner, there's not.
All right, our next item on the agenda is item 8, Sherryland Utilities donation. Last month, consider potential uses of a donation fund from Sherryland to take any action necessary. For those that weren't present last meeting, Sherryland was here and made a presentation about their activities that are going on in Potter County, and one of the things that they do through their construction projects is they have a lot of metal waste, and so they have taken that metal waste, recycled it, sold it, so there's some funds available, and they have given every county except Potter County that they've gone through with these transmission lines a donation. I asked the commissioners at that meeting if they would think about potential places we could put this money. One of the problems is we don't know how much it is. It may be $500, it might be $5,000. I have no idea. But anyway, some of the other counties have used it for, they have a county library, they've given it toward the library. Or they have county parks or something, they give it to that. But there's all kinds of things I think we could probably consider. I don't know if we're ready to make the decision today, but I think we ought to start talking and discussing some places we might be able to put a donation. I think they'd like to know where we're going to use it before they'll give us any.
My thought was we had this morning that the AgriLife Extension Agency would be a pretty good spot. They're always in need of funds, and that's my suggestion.
I think once we know the dollar amount, Commissioner, too, I think it would be helpful to look at what a potential use of that may be, and get to your point, maybe 500 or 5,000.
Right.
So it's maybe impact of that. But I think that's a great recommendation.
Right. I thought of some other ones just to get some other discussion. And one was the volunteer fire department, possible for turnouts, equipment there. I don't know, I haven't talked to anybody in the sheriff's department, but the Citizens Academy is always an active place, and they're always looking for money for food to feed those people every week. So I think there's places to go, and maybe someone else has ideas too.
We put it in a Kelly special account.
Go to the church. Give to the church.
So when do we have
Oh, there's no deadline for this. I would like to ask if they can tell us how much money we're going to get before we make the decision. If you wouldn't mind, let's put it off until another meeting, and I'll try to find out.
Perfect. Thank you.
And if someone has an idea, please let me know. We'll consider that as well. I think it should certainly benefit something that's going on in the county with our voters. Okay. Item 9, formal proposal renewal. To consider and act upon renewing formal proposal number 1032-11, independent auditor service, for an additional 1 year, June 1st, 2014 through May 31st, 2015. Term, extension, and pricing is as outlined in the original proposal. Mr. Harder.
This is for our independent auditors that come in and do help work with auditors, the internal auditors do our report every year. The contract's a 5-year contract, but it was 3 years fixed. Usually comes to the end of that 3-year fix, and we had 2 1-year options to renew. So I spoke to Carrie to make sure that they performed as she expected, and she said that they had. And so I also talked to the auditing company to make sure they want to work with us for another year. They said they do. So it's my recommendation to renew that for another year.
And I would say in terms of the content that they provide, and certainly to a question you had asked earlier, Commissioner, referencing when we would get the audit, it's very easily read, easily transferred in terms of what is reviewed and researched and recommendations. So based on the documentation that I've seen throughout the last couple of years, I certainly agree with your presentation content. Was able to be really followed by anyone.
This contract is with Davis Kennard and Company.
I make a motion that we accept the renewal of formal proposal 1032-11, independent auditor services, as per the recommendation.
Sorry. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the formal proposal 1032-11, independent auditor services. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote. All in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, same sign. Passes 5-0. Thank you. Our next item of business, number 10, is county property. To hear a report on an interest in leasing the piece of county property.
I put this on here because over the last year and a half or two, I have got multiple requests on our 6th Street property. It's supposed to lease it out to the Department of Human Services. And I always would tell the party to contact the commissioner because I think it starts with y'all of what happens to our property. But this recent one, I just wanted to give you a report to let you know there is interest in that property. I know some departments are using it as storage and elections use it as an early voting location. But I'm not recommending that we even do it. There's a whole process we'd have to go through to lease it or sell it. But I just wanted to make you aware. And I kind of wrote how much it's costing us a year. The building right now, it's around $11,000 we have budgeted for the building and repair and maintenance and utilities and insurance. And I don't know what we could get for it. Again, if we lease a building, we have to go out for bid, actually proposals, and we get proposals back in. So, I mean, it may not even be worth, if we're spending $11,000, I don't know how much we could get for it. But I wanted to make you all aware as a commission that there has been some interest in either buying or leasing that property. So, I don't know if we want to form a group. It seems like we always form a group, but if we want to form a group to look into this,
But I do think it's a valid point to bring to the court, and I know that's something that we've addressed in the long-range strategic planning committee, is taking a tour of all of the property that the county owns and really starting to dive into that conversation of, is there a true county need, and is there a potential for other opportunities? And so I think from that perspective, we were looking at it, do we still need to keep this property? Because there is a cost to maintaining that. Is there value that it's bringing forth? So this is definitely a different take on it, to have it leased where it's generating some revenue. So I would say from our long-range strategic planning committee, that has been a conversation of these pieces of property that are under the county umbrella and what's the real value that that's bringing.
And maybe if the commission want that committee to be a part of its responsibility, I don't mind taking that to them and kind of talking to them about it as well. But I know we do have some departments that utilize this building for storage, particularly the county attorney. And if we took it away, I know we'd have to find something else. So that's just something we'd have to consider.
We have discussed that for about the last 5 years, where we would put people around the county when we do away with these buildings. That particular building out there is going to take a lot of money to put into before you dare consider renting that building out. It's just with the basic needs right now, and the land's use out there right now is most critical. We do have, like I said, county attorney, maintenance, storage in there. But I don't know if you recall, about 4 years ago, we had someone come and talk about the stone air conditioner brought to the south. So the commissioners elected not to put any money back into that. So there's a lot of work that's going to have to be done.
I think that'd be true if we rented it. But, you brought up some good questions that we'd have to ask before we made any decisions, whether we sold it or rented it out. I'm one that's not really crazy about keeping property we don't need. We certainly need to know that there's a need for it.
Well, sir, that sounds like that falls right up under the offices of that long-range committee that's already been organized anyway. So I would suggest that you guys, since you've already formally organized, just include that on your agenda to see exactly the needs that will appropriately be conducive to the county, and expect what Mike is indicating for the conditions and what we're looking at if we wanted to go that route.
Why don't we look at all the property the county has, it's just sitting there behind.
Yeah.
I think it's
We've
a
got
good
a lot of
conversation.
acreage around the county also.
We can certainly add that to the agenda in terms of representation. facilities, purchasing, auditing, I mean, all those parties are represented in that committee. So we can certainly add that for discussion. You go with that, Commissioner?
Any further discussion on that particular agenda item? You can't take any action if you want to action on it. Seeing no further discussion, we'll move on to item number 12, or 11, excuse me. Tax increment reinvestment zone, tiers number 1. Board of Directors to consider and act upon appointees for the county's 3 positions on the tiers Board of Directors. Commissioner Kelly.
Yes, we have come up with a shortfall in representation by Potter County. At the end of this month, we've been 3 people short of representation on that board. So we are in need to replace those positions. My position comes up at the end of the month.
End of March.
End of March, and along with Carol's already gone, so she's been gone quite some time. So if you have some suggestions of people to be placed on that board, we can bring them to the forefront ASAP. We have to bring up who we talked about.
Well, there's, we can do that, or we can allow each commissioner to bring forth recommendations and maybe come to a recommendation process, or whatever your approach.
You indicate that those are up at the end of this month?
Well, Carol's been gone for almost a year, so it's been open.
Who serves on that committee right now?
I do.
I know you do, and
It was Carol Autry and Willie Quintel. There were 3 represented seats that were allowed in Potter County.
right.
Is that right, Dave?
That's right.
But I've got,
Yeah, we can certainly. Well, one of the recommendations, Commissioner Kelly reached out to me to let me know about the open seats, because we did ask Mr. Quintel to join. One of the recommendations that Commissioner Kelly and I have talked about that we think would bring value to both Potter County and the city is asking Nick Ward in Facilities to join that committee, with the representation of Potter County. And certainly Mike has been brought into that conversation. But we think with the facility background, it really is a different way to think about things. I think it would really do us well, quite honestly, with the direction of that. That's an individual that we've thrown into the bucket, if you will. And I know you were checking on some other representation. There's a question that I have out for a citizen, whether they would like to serve. So I've not heard back from them formally. So before I put the name in the hat, I want to do that.
Is it, it's not, I guess, private, or is it, we need to have a commissioner that serves on that committee?
yeah, well, yeah, we'd like to have a commission.
I mean, we've always had one from the commission.
Yeah, and Commissioner Kelly and I looked at the original bylaws, because I think we always have had one that's, I'm sorry.
And it's not mandatory that you have a commissioner, however, you can have one. I mean, I think we should have one, but, you know, we don't have anyone that wants to serve on that, then we go up and talk to citizens and see if we can get some folks there.
Yeah, and certainly, in terms of when Nick was asked to join the committee, it was from a perspective of Potter County. He's obviously a resident of Potter County, but to join with his Potter County employee affiliation. And so we would have an agenda item and have a report, kind of similar to Mike's facilities report, come present to the court of discussion. So again,
I like that perspective, that's a good idea to bring Mike's, certainly okay with that. I think that certainly goes a long way for having a real subject matter expert view of what being a part of that committee. I agree that there should be a commissioner on there as well, the other position.
I'm not as convinced that that's the way we ought to go. I think we need a citizen that's not involved with us as well.
That would be the third position.
well, and
Yeah, but if that's already decided on,
no, I don't think
that's
anything's
right.
decided on. It's all being brought before the board for discussion. And certainly I can say from my perspective, when I spoke with Nick, it was from a Potter County perspective, he would take that seat that traditionally is held as a commissioner, and we would have 2 citizens participate in that, because I think.
Oh, so you're saying he would take the place of the commissioner?
And come and present to the commissioners, every month.
I don't know if I'm all that,
That's why we're bringing it forth
I
for
think the
discussion.
commissioner still needs to be, you know, as I mentioned, we decided, we voted on this, we moved to, be a part of this tiers portion. And so I think that the commissioner, should be elected official, should be, have some ownership in that. So I think that should continue. Again, I like the idea of facilities on there as SME, but I agree that we should have some independent citizens also that serve on that. But that would be the third position.
And that's what we bring before the court today. If you, and if the commissioners have somebody that they would want to suggest that might be a part of this board, please bring them to the forefront, and we'll maybe make some decisions based on what we all have as far as.
I'd like to talk to some folks.
Sure, that's why we brought it up this morning.
And I,
Maybe we wanted this more than
No.
No, we're not appointing anybody. We just want to bring it to your attention that their citizens are available and they're needed to be filled.
How often does that,
once a month.
Once a month?
They really don't meet once a month. It's, if there's a month that they don't have anything on, need to talk about, they won't meet.
So it's not time urgent that we have someone that would,
No, I mean, the sooner the better, no question, but,
Do you want us, should we come back next meeting?
let's come back next meeting with, suggestions from the, commissioners, and, we'll make some votes from there.
One other point, Commissioner, want to comment. I feel, again, this is just my own perception of participating in the meetings just in a citizen format, just listening to the conversation. I feel the real value of a commissioner sitting in that tiers conversation would be in the application process. When I attend the board meetings, it's as most of our board meetings traditionally are, and the recommendation process is being presented and that's being discussed and vetted out. My particular perspective would be there is more value in being included in the application process of what is being presented to the city and then goes to the board. Whatever that process is like, and I certainly can't speak to that intelligently other than I know it's occurring, someone will approach the city to request some citizen funds and that goes to the board. I personally think that is where the value of having a commissioner in that conversation, because a lot of the projects that we currently have seen are exempt. So the value of Potter County participating in this is that at the end of the 20-year threshold, we would expect some substantial tax increment to increase and us see those on the books. Today, the projects that have been picked are exempt and really have a net effect of 0 in 20 years. And we won't see those increases. So I realize we're still at the beginning stages of that, but from my opinion, that's where the value of having a commissioner sit in that conversation is what projects are being approved or what the selection process is probably a better word. What the selection process is when someone applies for the funds and it goes to the board. That, in my opinion, is where we should be in that conversation.
Commissioner Kelly, since you sit on that position now, my thoughts are, I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I think that should be an ongoing process of having that in-grain information, continuing on all those meetings and seeing exactly what the thoughts are for all the elements that have been presented. So, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I've got to make some motions about it. You know, I've served on the board for the last 4 years, and you know, basically it's like a citizen sitting on the board. You know, I don't have any more influence on that board than anybody else, you know, individually. But where we come in is when they bring a project to us, that's where the commissioners come in. Effective.
Is that process, if that happens hypothetically, is that something that you are just giving information as a briefing? So you are not really aware of all the discussions and from all the other prospective elements of that committee throughout that process ongoing? Or is that something that you just brought in at that one particular meeting to be briefed and then make a decision?
No, you're pretty well kept up with all what's going on. Either by emails or whatever, you know, that you're,
I mean, now you are as a city member, but
Right.
would you be if you were not a city member?
would I be as informed?
Right.
Probably not. But, doesn't mean you couldn't be, you know, if you, we talked about.
You can go to any of those meetings.
Yeah, anybody can go, they're wide open, and it's very rare, unless somebody has a personal interest in what's going on in the meeting, nobody shows up. You know, it's very,
And I've been to several, and it is pretty quiet, there's, as traditional with a board and a board that size, I mean, there's some discussion about what might work, what might not, and again, back to that comment of, I feel commissioner representation is more valuable during that application process, which is probably more informal right now at the city. I would personally like to see us more involved in that conversation, because that's where I think Potter County stands to benefit 20 years from now. We continue to put money into this fund, and it's something this commission needs to be very aware of, and we are really being mindful of that expenditure for our long-range planning, because they really go hand in hand for the next 20 years as we've locked in.
Let's just make one.
Yeah. I want to make sure.
let's bring back, if you have some suggestions for people sitting on that board, let's bring it back next meeting and we'll make some decisions at that time.
Okay, any other discussion on the tiers, board of directors? We'll move on then to item 12, employment items to consider and act upon the following employment items. A, facilities maintenance custodial, the resignation of Luisa D'Aleon, custodial 1, nights effective March 28, 2014. B, road and bridge, step increase of Jessica Pepper, administrative tech, effective March 16, 2014. C, collections, the employment of Francis Magley, file clerk, receptionist, effective 3/24/2014. We have
Second for discussion, Kate, can you help me understand what a step increase is on B? Is that a pay step increase?
Yes, it's a pay step increase. Essentially, it's just a pay increase that comes to us originating from the sending department. We don't truly have a graded step salary structure, so it's a dollar increase in salary that came to us from the.
That would be something that we need to do.
But I don't give her the full amount when, or whoever it is, when we hire her, and after she meets probation and stuff. Good employee, she gets the rest of it.
Okay,
And I
okay.
call it a step.
Okay.
I don't-
Almost like a probationary period, you know, have one.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we've always done.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was following that. Thank you, Roger. Thank you, Kate.
We have a motion and a second to approve the employment items. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote. All in favor, raise your hand. Those opposed, same sign. Passes 5-0. Potter County projects, to hear a report on various Potter County projects and to taking action necessary.
Good morning. Normally, the first Commissioners Court meeting of each month, I give you all a written report. I went on ahead and passed one out to you this morning, just kind of show you the format that I'm looking to start using on these reports, because they can get quite extensive. Right now, there's 40 projects on there. I'll give you all a moment to look at that. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. I do have 2 items on each presentation.
Do we have a timeline on the handrail project?
It's under fabrication by a local RSM or local contractor. Nick is working with them.
You handed me that report. I left it over here. Yes. You have it. Sorry.
Mike, I'm not sure if this is on your report. The journeyman?
Yes, it's on the first page. Second
Oh,
category
substantial,
right there.
okay. Do we have any update on that, Dave?
On that particular item, second, number 2 right there, warranty claims, I've been working with a local contractor. They're gonna come in hopefully within the next 2 to 3 weeks to get some of this repair done on the painting of the Westport Siemens and to paint a door out here. They were willing to go ahead and move forward. You was not at the last meeting. This is where we really need Journeyman involved, because out of this contractor scope of work, he's really involved in 5, but he's only gonna do 2 of them because he ultimately did it. The other 3 scopes of work that he should be involved in, somebody else created an issue like a water leak that ruined the paint that he would have to be paid for. So that's where the general contractor should be involved in order to make sure that these other contractors get compensated for their scopes of work.
So who's paying for the 2 that they're doing? We're paying?
They are, no, they
They're paying
are.
that?
They are. We have an issue up on the 5th floor up there under warranty claim. We had some cabinets about to fall up there. Nick and them went back and resecured them because they're about to fall. Yeah, we need painting done around that. Normally under a warranty item, the general contractor would have got the person that did the millwork on the cabinets to come in and resecure them, and then the painting contractor would have come in. The painting contractor should have been out no money. It should have been the first contractor that created the issue to pay the paint. So it's kind of a trickle effect of who pays who here. And without Journeyman's involvement, it ain't gonna happen.
So what's the timeline for that, Dave, or next steps?
I'll talk about it. If you want to talk, I'll be happy to get with you if you need to talk about it. I will talk about it in session.
Okay, so would it warrant an executive session to bring the full court up to speed next meeting?
Perhaps.
Okay. Thank you.
The second page, just to make you aware of another additional items on the Santa Fe, we go through our item number 1, our GAF inspections tomorrow on the actual roof project over there.
Where the 2 fairgrounds roofs are the items you're gonna talk to us about here in a second, or is that, you know, for the Cody and the Rex Baxter says court direction is pending.
That's right now, as I know, that I would move forth with the repairs by the insurance company, but the commissioner's court just needs to direct me how y'all want me to proceed once that issue is resolved.
Yeah, and to a follow-up point to that, and Commissioner Monson's on this committee as well. Tri-State Fair has approached us about other pieces of property, and there's been communication that's been sent back to them. Each member of the court has gotten a copy of that communication. Is that correct, Dave? Each member of the court has gotten a copy of that documentation.
Yeah.
So we're waiting to allow some time for the fairgrounds to respond to that. So to your point, that's the court direction we're pending on, is that right?
Yes, that is.
Okay.
Those 2 buildings are on hold right now until we're on the regular proceed.
Yes, and we had a meeting on the calendar for Friday. They chose to cancel and indicated they would communicate via a letter. Is that correct, Dave?
That's correct.
Okay.
Any further questions?
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Item 14, we will go to executive session in just a minute. We'll jump to item 15, jail report, to hear report on the Potter County Detention Center and to take the action necessary. The figures I have received is we have 525 total folks in detention. 97 of those are female.
Are there any children's?
No. Any further information or discussion they'd like to share? Being none, move to item 16, county insurance items.
We did have an accident. The fire department was, I believe, responding to a call. I don't know, but they kind of ran into a car in a parking lot going around the corner, and so it didn't do. Well, they did. I mean, I don't know if there was a lot of damage, but we have a phone that was for insurance. There's not enough damage on the truck to get that. But I just wanted to know that's being processed. We'll have $1,000 deductible, but it will have to pay
Does that fall into the insurance claims fund? Is that where that will come from? And we use that line item for the entire county. It's not department specific, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's it.
I kind of was interrupted. Somebody ran over me. Okay. I guess now we'll go to executive session, real property, fire station number 3, to hold an executive session to deliberate the purchase, exchange, or value of real property where deliberations in open meeting would have a detrimental effect on the position of the county in negotiation with a third party pursuant to 551.072 Texas Government Code. And then if any action is necessary, we'll come back and take action in this open session. So we'll recess to executive session. You all right now?
I'm sorry.
Okay, we'll reconvene, and it is 10:43. Court met in executive session, and no action will be taken. No action was taken in executive session, and no action will be taken in open session. The last item on our agenda is agenda items for next time, and I think we do have those 2 items we said we'd table until next time: the Sherryland Utilities donation and also the tax increment reinvestment zone board of directors.
As well as the executive session for the journeyman discussion.
Right. Okay. Anything else we want to have on our agenda for next time?
Hopefully an executive session on the property too.
Yeah. Any other business that needs to come before the court? Anybody like to add anything?
Have a great week.
One thing before everybody leaves, this was found out on the seats. It's a little bracelet that says "Live your dash with passion." Anybody lost that or know of anyone? All right, meeting adjourned at 10:44.
Can I get a signature page?
This is just for our
It says we did the auditor's everything.